Was that appropriate for Adam Schiff to accuse the special counsel assigned by Merrick Garland of attempting to somehow sabotage Biden's presidency by writing a full and complete report?
Well, Andrew, you're talking about the gentleman that is responsible for the entire Russia hoax and lying to the American people for years on end. So I don't know that we want to try to establish any kind of standards for Adam Schiff at this point, because I think he's shown that he doesn't have any. So what I found interesting is that Hur did what he had to do, which was he concluded that Joe Biden is not competent to stand trial for violating the law in terms of how he handled classified documents. And what he found was that his memory has faded so dramatically over the last several years that no jury is going to find him guilty. I think that's the big takeaway from all of this.
I have to ask this, and it's not to be explosive. Chairman Jordan and others questioned the $8 million that was on the table for this book. If this was a legitimate deal, Barack Obama could have declassified that information for his former VP to go out and write a book on any topic, including his memoirs. Is it impeachable for a president, for a former vice president, to have taken national security information for the purpose of enriching himself?
Well, I think that that's kind of the history of the Biden crime family. Everything that they do, they're focusing on how will it enrich them. You see it with James Biden, you see it with Hunter Biden, and you see it with Joe Biden. And what he has always wanted to do, I think one of the ways that I would describe Joe Biden is he has always recognized that he's kind of a backbencher, and he's trying to compensate for that by actually being something that he's not. He looked at this way at these documents, and he looked at this opportunity to write a book to basically salvage his reputation, because as we know, he's been in public life for 50 years and largely failed upwards. As we know from his presidency, he's destroyed almost every single thing that he's touched. He's been a disaster as a president. He was a disaster as a vice president, and he was a disaster as a senator. So I think that he looked at this as his opportunity to make some serious bucks, while at the same time rewriting history as to whether he was actually the historical figure that perhaps he thinks that he is.
I understand. We understood this with Mueller. We understand it with Robert Hur, that a sitting president can't be indicted. That's the DOJ rules and regulations. But what does Congress make of it when not only does he take the documents, he gives them to a ghostwriter who under no circumstances would have any authority to view classified information if the former president, Obama, didn't declassify them?
So the point that I made with Mr. Hur today was that in this town, it's very apparent that the only people that are never going to be held accountable for their bad acts are people who have the last name of Clinton and Biden. And when I was referring to Clinton, I was referring to Hillary Clinton and what she did with classified documents when and after she was Secretary of State. The DOJ, I think, has been infiltrated by Democrats and by partisans. And what they're doing is they use their power to protect the Biden crime family, to protect the Clinton crime family. We know that they made serious money from foreign actors in malign countries as they attempted to pad their pockets with the idea that Hillary Clinton may someday be president. But again, from the standpoint of Congress, I find it reprehensible that he treated documents the way that he did. You're showing photographs of how these documents were maintained and handled. I don't think that there's any excuse for that whatsoever. I guess what I can say about the Oversight Committee and Judiciary Committee, and where we have been very successful, and even the Select Committee on Weaponization, where we have been very successful in the last 14 months, is we are exposing things about the Clintons, about the Bidens, about the Obamas, about the unlawfulness that has taken place back here in these various agencies, whether it's FBI, DOJ, IRS, etc. We are exposing the fact that this is not just a partisan place, but that our government is being weaponized against us. And then we're comparing it to the treatment that the Bidens have received, the Clintons have received. And I think the American public is getting it. And that is that we have a two-tier system of justice. And we've got to change where we're going with this, or our republic is not going to be able to stand, as John Durham said in his testimony several months ago.
You know, what's amazing is that there was much comparison to Donald Trump, except Donald Trump actually had declassification authority, and Senator and Vice President Joe Biden did not. I got a minute.
Well, he also had Secret Service protecting the documents at issue. So yes, he had that power. But again, if you're going to say that presidents and vice presidents, that it's kind of been a past pattern in practice for them to take documents so that they can write their memoirs and things, then you don't just target one president because you dislike his politics or his policy. Yet that's exactly what's happening, and that's what we need to change.
You know, what was also amazing was the word exonerate. It seems like we've changed the meaning of the word exonerate from 2019. Robert Mueller saying that he didn't have enough evidence to file a criminal charge against Trump now became, because you didn't file criminal charges against Trump, he's exonerated. Pramila Jayapal kept hammering Robert Hur that he exonerated President Biden. He said, I didn't exonerate President Biden. I'm just not recommending any charges. I got to leave it there. Yes, ma'am.
He refused to say exonerated. I'd say he really stuck that landing, and he made it clear that he didn't charge Joe Biden because he's got memory issues and he's not competent to stand trial.